Hey, hey.
Hi.
Better late than never.
That's right. Happy Friday. It's Answers with Andy and Lee. And today...
I thought it was Andy's Angle. That's what somebody said.
We could do that too. Yes. Our sweet
But
friend
like,
Lori.
Lee doesn't matter.
No, that was cute. It was our creative friend Lori. She thought that was cute. Andy's Angle. I'm sure she came up with something for you.
Probably.
We'll have to ask her. We'll text her after this and find out. But we were talking about
Hey, Judy.
Hi Judy, what's come up for us lately. And I was talking to a client this morning, and she's going through a separation, a divorce, and actually it's a custody thing, and they don't live in the same state at the moment. And so she's got these toddlers, and she just went to visit them. And of course she comes back, and she's, you know, it's gnawing at her heart, and she's feeling really yucky. But what's happened is she's been very passive in this situation with her soon-to-be ex-partner. And she just feels like, well, you know, I'll put something out there, and if they don't respond, I'll wait, and then they don't respond, and she keeps putting something out there, and it's just sort of been this cycle of nothing's happening. And she misses her kids. She wants to spend more time with her kids. She's not getting answers about the holidays, nothing like that. And we were having a conversation, and you know, she just sort of came to the conclusion that she didn't want to ruffle any feathers, but her being passive was certainly not helping the situation at all. In fact, it was kind of, at the end of our conversation, she realized making it worse. It was enabling the behavior of the person that was ignoring her, and it was not helping her have a fair situation for her and her kids. So Lee and I have talked a lot about this, because in communication, sometimes it looks like when we're passive, we're being the nice guy, but what we're actually doing is we may be enabling bad behavior. Right?
Yeah, and becoming the martyr as well. That's
Yeah.
another part of it, that we say, well, you know, I'm so passive and people walk over me, but sometimes, forgive me for saying, but sometimes it's an excuse, right? It's like, oh, poor me. And that's not serving anybody, including yourself either. It feels like it because you get that instant gratification.
Yeah.
Because some people will say, oh, you've got to do things for yourself. You've got to, you know, you got to stand up for yourself. And it's terrible the way people are treating you. And again, I know I'm devil's advocate, because I always put the opposite side of it, the opposite spin on it. But it is a lot of the times where we can fall into that trap. I mean, we deal with a lot of people with addictions and so on. And it's a trap because it actually serves a purpose. An addiction serves a purpose. A passive behavior serves a purpose. An aggressive behavior serves a purpose. Now, whether it's a good purpose is a different story, but that's the reasoning behind it. So when we start to become aware of this, awareness gives us choice. Absolutely. It's not awareness gives you the answer and suddenly it's like, oh, that's it. My life is great. No, but it gives you that choice to realize what is actually going on instead of being at the mercy of your circumstances.
Yeah, and I know I have a tendency to be passive. That's been my thing. You know, we all sort of have a way that we are in the world. And I really, you know, we all learned the hard way that passive was not working for me. That what I didn't see in my passive behavior, where I thought I was being the nice guy and I thought I was being patient, I was actually enabling someone else's, I don't want to say addiction, but yeah, I mean, in a sense, it's an addiction to a behavior. I was enabling someone else's way of being in the world that was not healthy. So I was saying that's okay by being passive. So I really got to learn. It was very scary for me to step into my power, and it was in a few relationships where I realized, gosh, I'm sort of biting my tongue all the time, and I'm biting my tongue because I don't want to ruffle feathers. However, is the biting my tongue actually helping the other person? And what I realized was me biting my tongue was not serving the other person at all. So that's where, you know, we think when we're being passive, we're being patient, but are we really? You know, are we serving the other person? Is this serving the relationship? It's just not, because when we're being passive, it ends up first of all, hurting us because we're just kind of waiting around hoping things change, which that never happens. And it's enabling the behavior on the other person's part.
Right, it's like the spoiled child, isn't it? You know, the more you allow that child to just dictate the entire world for you, you think that, oh, well, I'm just giving them love, but you're actually creating the very thing that you don't want, because they don't know. If you don't teach them consequences, they don't know that consequences exist. As a consequence, when they go out into the real world, they suddenly have no idea how to cope with it. So by us being passive in that sense, we're actually enabling, as Andy said, we're enabling bad behavior.
Yeah. That was a real tough one for me, absolutely, to learn.
Yeah.
But so some people deal with communication being passive, and the other thing we talked about was obviously she doesn't have an aggressive bone in her body. That's not a part of her, but her partner is a very aggressive person. So we were talking about, how do you handle when you're dealing with someone who's aggressive? And, I liken it to being on the tennis court. If you're on the tennis court and you walk off the tennis court, that other person that's trying to play tennis with you, they're going to have to find somebody else to play tennis with. So it's kind of like, how much fuel are you giving to the situation? And we came to the conclusion that she was giving so much sort of oxygen to this other person's behavior that it was consuming her, where she really couldn't think straight about, well, what is the next right move for all of us? Because there was so much energy and oxygen given to, well, I know how this person's going to react, and that scares me. So we sort of got to that place where there was fear involved. But what she realized was that she was creating, in a sense, she was enabling the aggression because she was giving it so much attention. So what you give attention to grows. That just makes sense. That's how the world works. So what we had talked about was first of all, getting quiet, because we never make any sense out of a messy mind. And you all know, I don't have my snow globe handy. I could go get it. But we can't make sense out of a messy mind. We just don't get clarity out of a messy mind. Oh, you're going to get it. Okay. And so we talked about getting quiet and just spending some time without having a lot on it, just listening and seeing what comes up and seeing what makes sense. As you guys know, I love the holidays, and we always have a holiday-themed snow globe. So obviously, guess what's coming up? Christmas time. So anyway, this is our messy mind, right? We can't make sense of a messy mind, but when we get still and we get quiet, our messy mind settles, and then it will be really clear. Oh, this is my next right move. In her case, okay, you know what? I need to set a boundary here, or I need to, set some sort of timeline for this. Or else what she was saying was nothing was happening. So she realized that may be scary to set a timeline or to set a boundary or to create a rule, but it was something that she needed to do to stop that enabling process.
Yeah, I mean, I have a slightly different take. Only it's the same thing, just in a different way, and that is that when we have the assertive mindset, the boundaries sort of take care of themselves. It's like we've got a friend, and she's from New York. She's a New York Italian, and she's very sort of really easygoing in one sense, but you just know where the boundaries are. You won't mess with this girl, and yet somebody else, you don't know where their boundaries are because they don't know where their boundaries are. So focusing on the boundaries is one take. Focusing on just having that assertive nature is what will take care of the boundaries.
Right.
Because if you start setting boundaries to a person when you've had no boundaries, resistance.
Yeah.
When you become assertive, you learn to assertively have that conversation with a person. So it's not, right, these are my boundaries. It's going to change from now on. You're going to meet resistance. You're actually going to annoy the person even more. But when you come from an assertive nature, you will not annoy that person because you'll use the right language to coax them and you into the right way of thinking, into a quote unquote fair way of thinking. It's a win-win, as Andy said.
Yeah, I love what you said, and you're absolutely right. You know, even that word's a funny word, the boundaries word, because it feels like and we want to have fluidity in our lives. We don't want to have these, you know, hard and fast sort of, you know, I feel like it's the castle walls around our head with the boundaries. Right. So I retract the word.
Well, it's just semantics, right. You know.
But that's true. But you're 100% right. That assertive, it just has, you know, it's funny because we talk about words and how words have a different feel. And assertive is in the flow, and a boundary feels like it's.
Well, a boundary is a separation.
Yeah.
Boundary is a separation, and what we want is connectedness.
Yeah.
We want to work together,
yes,
rather than you against me. Right? I've got a boundary, so you cannot walk past that boundary. Becomes actually what people a lot of times mistake assertiveness for, and that is aggression. And it's assertiveness is not aggressiveness. Assertiveness is not being passive either. It's well, I mean, again, as we always talk about, somebody who's aggressive, they have an I win, you lose attitude. Somebody who's passive has a okay, you win, I lose attitude. But with assertive, it's hey, I win, you win. So how can we win together? And that is not aggressive. Now, to some people, it might come across as aggressive if you're talking about boundaries and, you know, this is not right, this is not right, right? But when you're assertive, it's like, wait a minute, okay, so you feel this way, right? Well, that's not really working for me, so how can we work this out together? You know, the compromise? That's not aggressive at all. And when you have that attitude, you know the right words to say. You don't have to script it. If you script it, you don't know. It almost never works in actual fact when you script it. You can have a guideline as to what you want to get across, maybe. But in the back of your mind, when you're constantly feeling that assertiveness, not assertiveness as in, I'm going to stand my ground, because that is aggressive. And not in the assertiveness of, oh, you're such a good person, I just want the best for you. That's good, but you got to include yourself. So it's like, hey, you're a great person and I'm a great person too. So let's have a great life and let's figure out how we can both work this out.
Yeah. Makes so much sense.
Judy, yes. I don't know, Judy, do you want to come on camera? I'm going to press this.
Can you do that?
I don't know.
Oh.
I see it there, but
we're learning something.
You might not want to after all this, but I'll put it on there in case you do.
I know this is new to me. All this technology.
All this technology.
Yeah,
we're at that age, are we?
Yes.
Did I say that?
Don't say that. I don't know what's happening. But what I do know is that it makes so much sense to, if you're in a relationship where there is some sort of conflict, to go sit with it and have a discussion together. How can it be a win-win for both of us? And I know it can be so very difficult when two people are like this, and when you're dealing with kids and separation. Of course you're going to feel like this. But here's the good news: is the more that you are assertive in a loving way, in a knowing what's best for everyone, that other person, because the energy shifts, because you're not doing this anymore, you're going to have a much better chance of having that conversation in a place where, you know, two people don't have their guns out, where they're just, you know, there's a kindness, there's an okayness, there's a, oh, guess what, we're both going to win. Because I think that's what happens, especially when you're having a situation with kids, is that you get into this mentality with, well, who's going to win? Yeah. And wouldn't it be nice if everybody won, if the kids won, if the parents won, you know? And
we've been taught, if you think about it, we've been taught to think, oh, if you get into an argument, a debate or whatever, you know, it's a, somebody's got to win that debate. Yeah. And so either as a passive person we're like, okay, you win, or even as a passive person, it's usually the camel that broke the straw's back. That's
Yes,
it, isn't it?
yes, that works.
The straw that breaks the camel's back. You know, the passive, aggressive. And then it's like, whoa, what is wrong with you? All I did was put the cup there without a coaster.
Oh, that's big trouble
That's
here.
big trouble, yeah. But
I just put the coaster under it.
But it's like, it's not about the coaster. It's not about the trivial thing. It's this person that's been passive, exploding. And you don't want that. They don't want that. Nobody wants that. That's not a good thing. When we're assertive, there's nothing on our mind because we're not holding on to past events. When we're assertive, there's nothing on our mind because we're not trying to beat the person. We're simply communicating. Now, I mean, you know, this is a work in progress. I'm not saying I got this. So, you know, it's we got to practice this stuff. And the more we talk about it, that's why we say sharing is caring.
That's right.
We're
Teaching is preaching.
Teaching is preaching. We're merely sharing here that this is the way to go. And the more we remind ourselves or just remember about this, the more likely we are to have that in our lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, as you know, I can't read small little type, so I don't know if you want to read what's...
Judy just said good morning.
Oh,
so
okay.
they said good morning.
Okay. I saw a couple other things
And,
come up, but I can't
I
read.
tried to get you on camera,
I
Judy,
need my
but
glasses.
I don't know what happened. I don't think our connection is that great, so
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Okay. Well, we hope this was helpful. We hope it was helpful. It's you know, we like to talk about things that are coming up, things that are current, and things that we think will be helpful.
Yeah.
So.
And I just want to, Borinsky, I just want to just clarify that. So think of aggressive, it's in the red. You're in the red. You're not really thinking clearly. You're not in of right mind when you're in the aggressive state. It feels like it because you're full of energy and you're like, that's it. But your mind is clouded. When you're in the passive, your mind is also clouded. It seems to be different to aggressive, but it's the same in the fact that there's so much going on here, and there's a fear, so you're backing off, right? When you're assertive, your mind is clear because there's no aggression, there's no defensiveness. You're actually clear, so you're thinking clearly, so you're acting clearly, and you're coming from, Andy would say, a place of love.
Yeah.
Right? And the only reason I hesitate is because some people might think, I don't know if I'm coming from a place of love at that point. But you're coming from a place of at least appreciation.
Yeah, and I would say clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So carry on, Andy.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I can't read all that up there. So.
She's saying there's always another time. Yeah, I apologize.
There you go. There you go.
We'll catch you next
All right.
time.
Yes, we will work on that. We will get more technologically
more
fabulous. Okay. Well, you guys have a super duper weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Take care. Here I go with the button.
That's right. Very